Hey guys, I just wanted to jump on real quick and review the prompt for Project 4 with you guys. As you know, we no longer have the self-assessment essay due at the end of this class. So all that you have left to work on for our class is anything and everything related to this podcast episode. I know right off the bat I say podcast and you're probably already thinking I have no idea what to do or how to do anything podcast related. You are in good company. I will be making a lot of videos and sending out a lot of announcements and just different things that I feel like are going to be helpful for you guys. And so just take it one day at a time. As long as you're keeping up with the discussion forum posts and you're setting good deadlines for yourself according to our schedule, you should be good to go. So let's talk about the prompt for a second. So you are going to compose a podcast episode of approximately 5 to 10 minutes. This episode should be driven by a focused question, maybe two, no more than two, about your topic, which you engage with interesting research like observations, interviews, and secondary research. When I say question, it can be really broad and it can get really broad, right? Just like every other project we've had, get as specific as you can, right? A good example of a question would be, how do you navigate the TTU dining halls with celiac disease, right? That's very specific, and it's something that you can utilize secondary research with, right? I'm sure there are lots of studies out there over the number of people with celiac disease. You could probably interview someone with celiac disease, or maybe you could follow someone around who has celiac disease for a lunch period and kind of see where they go and what they order and things like that. Now, that is all very ideal for our situation prior to the shelter in place, prior to things going on with COVID-19. So keeping that in mind, it is okay if your question is geared towards being able to interview someone in your household, observe someone in your household, maybe a neighbor from a safe distance, and we can talk about those things. Maybe you can, if you're a parent in your home right now with your child, a good question would be, how does a 6-year-old or 12-year-old navigate e-learning, right? So be creative. Again, your questions are going to be posted in discussion forums, and I'll be going in and kind of giving feedback and responding. So just put something out there and see what you come up with. So again, you're going to need interviews for this project, and you're going to need some secondary research. When I say interviews, this means that you're going to interview 1 to 2 people. Again, we're going to be very creative with how we conduct interviews because of everything that's going on right now. And I'll talk some more about that as we get closer to conducting those interviews. And then secondary research, which of course you guys should be familiar with. These can be books, magazine articles, journal articles, studies, videos, basically anything that you can find that's going to back up what you're looking into, right? So along with this podcast episode, you're also going to turn in a 750-word statement of goals and choices. This statement of goals and choices can be guided by these 4 questions here. You're just going to talk about what goals you had in creating the podcast. Who was the audience? What specific choices did you make to accomplish these goals? Who did you interview? How did you interview them? Why did you interview those specific people? What was the purpose behind pursuing this specific plan and making these choices regarding your podcast episode? And then also, what risks did you take and why? So again, in a more ideal situation, maybe you reach out to interview someone and they didn't respond and you were left with a week to find a new interviewee, right? That's a risk that you take. So those are some things to think about. Here are the expectations and guidelines. So to earn a C, you're going to have a 5 to 10 minute podcast. There's going to be dialogue happening between yourself and someone else. It's carefully put together with music, sound effects, background noise, sonic choices that are purposeful. It's focused, cohesive. You've ethically and legally used materials. And then it's going to be submitted through being an upload on SoundCloud. And then within that, you're going to have a title and a brief little blurb about what your podcast is about, and then you're going to transcribe it for me. And then here are your statement and goals of choices, kind of what I expect to see within that statement of goals and choices. So you're probably looking at all these things and thinking, I don't even know where to begin. Again, as we go through the weeks to come, you're going to be listening to examples of podcasts and kind of reviewing the choices and the different effects and things that are going on within these podcasts, and we're going to talk about them some. So here's the prompt, just some important things to think about. Make sure you're hitting these minimum expectation and guidelines as you're completing your work. And then again, as long as you're keeping up with the discussion forum posts and looking at the schedule and kind of setting some good deadlines for yourselves, you guys should be good to go and not have any issues getting this done. As always, if you have any questions, let me know, and I look forward to getting to hear some of the great things that you guys come up with.